Robotech had an impact on my life. I won't argue that. But it had nothing to do with the show itself, as it didn't see any kind of release in the UK until 1994, 10 years after its launch in the United States. No, that had more to do with the comico renditions of the series, in particular the anime styling of Michael Leak and Michael Chen, who I admire greatly. But make no mistake, the true impact of my anime fetish lies within the realms of one franchise the so-called creators of Robotech, and I emphasise that with inverted commas as creator is a loose term, seem to despise the most. I have no love for Harmony Gold, very little to be honest, and yes, I may have been a little harsh on them in the past, and I won't fault Robotech for being an influential part of Americana in the 1980s, but given that, Harmony Gold has done very little, if anything, to benefit either itself or the anime market. It's done less to respect the fandom that tries to support it, save milking the cow it has for all the desperate money it can out of the franchise that has done very little since the final novel End of the Circle was released. Save give us 5 failed sequels, a crappy movie which in itself was a bastardization of a well-known anime classic, and Shadow Chronicles that promised much but they never took advantage of. And I liked Shadow Chronicles. My stroke hatred of Harmony Gold is more than just a series of failed opportunities, but also a matter of licensing. It's no secret that I love Macross. There is no anime better in my mind than Macross. Now you may disagree, but it's a matter of taste with me. Yet America has suffered as a result of Harmony Gold's dragon-like grip on the Macross franchise, and I'll state my reasons shortly. I was fortunate enough to be a driving force in the UK, bringing Macross to the media attention, pushing hard for a release in the UK of the movie Do You Remember Love? And Kiseki Films, for all its faults, did just that, not only in its subtitled form, but in its rather dubious dubbed form also, Clash of the Bionoids. That it got to the West at all is a minor miracle, and even though it is yet to receive a DVD release in the UK as it deserves, thankfully Harmony Gold has no hold over the copyright in the UK, and that in itself is also a minor miracle. But back to Harmony Gold. Its grip over content in the United States and perhaps the American continent itself is overwhelming, doing whatever they can to suppress the Macross name unless it's related to the Robotech franchise and storyline in any way. But before we go into the major gripe of preventing the release of Macross on its own in whatever form in the States, let me give you a little history of Harmony Gold's tyrannical grip on even fan productions, as well as its long list of failures from the well-known to the hardly known to the most controversial.
Here's to all my dreams come true in the form of an American woman.
In 2013, a small fan film was in the works by South American filmmaker Argentino Lanzando, and you'll have to forgive my pronunciation of that as my Spanish is practically non-existent. Whilst based on Robotech, including the lore of Eve from the Untold Story, yeah, we'll let that pass, it showed great promise as a non-profit production showing appreciation for the Harmony Gold franchise. The conspiracy storyline, the special effects and the documentary approach was utterly stunning in visual presentation, and everyone, even those of us sick to death of Robotech, was pretty excited about what we initially saw. Until Harmony Gold called in a cease and desist order, thus halting the project altogether. What was even more surprising is that Harmony Gold initially gave them the green light for the project. And whilst it is no stranger that at the last moment corporations can pull the plug on any projects they approve of, this initially hit the fandom like a ton of bricks, with no explanation as to why, or at least nothing satisfactory. Despite their protestation of loving the support of the fans, this action smacked in the face of any such love for the fans. As a result, all footage was ordered to be removed from YouTube, their website and Facebook. Thankfully, what is available of the production is still on YouTube, and still gets much fan support. The ordinary person doesn't like to listen to the high and mighty declarations of a bully, and to all intents and purposes, since the demise of Karl Maychek, who yes, I have mocked in the past, but who was on the whole an approachable businessman, that's what Harmony Gold has become. Since the termination of Project Valkyrie, fans have been less than open about their works, either Robotech or Macross related, in fear of these cease and desist orders, leaving their works in the shadows until it's available on BitTorrent, at which point it's practically useless for Harmony Gold to do anything about it. All the power to the people, I say. And it's not like Harmony Gold has anything much to defend other than rehashed DVD re-releases, new crappy artwork by artists not related to the show in any way, and a long slew of failed comic book licenses. That's not to say they haven't tried to resurrect the corpse of a long dead series now relegated to the dank shelves of nostalgia, and that's where the joke really gets to its rather miserable punchline. Robotech 2 The Sentinels was to be the first in a long line of promised sequels to Robotech, chronicling the voyages of Rick Hunter, Lisa Hayes and friends aboard the SDF-3 in their failed mission to parlor peace with the Robotech Masters. But the costs of production were so high that only 3 episodes of the saga that were to bridge the gaps between the Macross saga, the Robotech Masters and the new generation were made. The show promised that all the surviving characters would eventually come together as the series progressed, as the SDF-3 battled a rogue element of Invid under the command of the Regis' stubborn mate, the Regent, and culminating in a saga that would unveil the tapestry behind the fabled power source known as protoculture that influenced the events as they unfolded. However, according to Robotech mastermind Carl Maychek, as Harmony Gold loves to call him, when the dollar-yen rate plummeted in the mid-1980s, Matchbox, Robotech's toy producer at the time, pulled out of the project and it was eventually cancelled. The series was, however, finished quite satisfactorily, I think, with Eternity Comics' rendition of the novel, skillfully written by Jack McKinney, that Harmony Gold has since more or less decided to ignore to the franchise's detriment. And so, with Robotech 2 busted, you'd think they'd try and resurrect it should the opportunity arise? Oh hell no, that would make sense. Robotech 3 The Odyssey was proposed by Carl Maychek, and I have to say he must have been going through an insane period, as not only would the show take place after the non-existent Sentinel series, but would have the SDF-3 going back in time, being responsible for the first SDF to crash on Earth, and having Min Min May give birth to Zor, the Robotech master that started this insanity in the first place. Yeah, pretty much that vision was probably best left undone considering the mindfuckery behind it. And I'll say it now, Jack McKinney wrote the Min May being Zor's mother way better than this Silent Hill-induced madness would have presented. And so, with that out of the way, anyone remember this proposal?
At the dawn of a new millennium, Robotechnology enabled an interplanetary federation to remain at peace for 600 years. But all that was about to change. A Proteus Group starship, the Corsair, responds to a distress signal from a remote mining colony.
Good news is, Airlock has located the miners in Shaft 19.
Any casualties?
They check out fine, Captain, but something's got them spooked. It's just not right down here.
You're telling me.
No? Probably for the best. Robotech 3000 was yet another failed resurrection proposal in the year 2000 that the Robotech fans just hated. Fully CGI, probably to cash in on the success of Starship Troopers, it would be set in 2999 and have Robotechnology rebelling against their human masters, creating a new dilemma for a new generation of heroes. But it didn't matter in the long run, as the CG company behind it, Nurture Digital, I think the name says it all really, went bankrupt long after the demo footage was created and the project was scrapped. So Maychek and Harmony Gold decided to work on yet another Robotech sequel, Shadow Rising. And that would not see any release until 2007. And so Shadow Chronicles did get released, and Harmony Gold planned to follow it up with yet another direct-to-DVD movie that was supposedly to come out in 2009. It was reportedly postponed due to the announcement of yet another failed-to-service Robotech project, the so-called live-action movie that Tobey Maguire, yes, that Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man, was interested in. But as that's now coming out as a non-starter as well, what next for the long list of Harmony Gold's failures? You'd think they'd pack up and let the sleeping dog lay down right now, wouldn't you? Well, crap. July 2015 comes by and it is announced at Anime Expo by Harmony Gold Quite how they survived there is beyond me, but a Kickstarter campaign for Robotech Academy has started. Asking for nearly $500,000 to get started on it, with a lot of promised perks, including your own likeness in the series should you give enough dough to the project. But it seems that the fan support was pretty much lacking, as the project earned only a mere $166,000 in the long run, and has since gone silent as the Kickstarter was cancelled 11 days before completion, with a promised announcement to follow that has since yet been forthcoming. Supposedly set during the Sentinel period, of which still has to be told in animated form or in a way that most of the old fans and possible new fans could relate, it seems this project was doomed from the let-go, milking pretty much off the now deceased Carl Maychek as if he was some Gene Roddenberry of the anime world to draw the dwindling fans of the franchise in. As if Robotech could ever be comparably compared to the likes of Star Trek. Sadly, the reality is, even if the Kickstarter has succeeded, they'd only once again be able to make a pilot, and even then unlikely to make a fully fledged series. No matter how you look at it, Harmony Gold as a production company fails to deliver in every sense of the word, and would only deliver yet another disappointing episode to the long list of failing ideas that should have rested with at least some work on the Sentinels. It's poor business practice when you look at it in the long run, and it's clear Harmony Gold has little more money than the royalties it takes from its small control over a much better franchise that continues to grow in strength in Japan. And that's where my rant really starts to fly, as next time we delve into the one thing that Harmony Gold loves to rob from us. So join me tomorrow in Macross, the Never Seen Saga. Until next time, ciao.